Everyone, today's video is all about Distress Oxide Sprays, and I've got 9 ways on how you can use these babies. I'm also collabing with my friend Jerry, and she has a video up on her channel with different techniques on how to use these as well, so I'll be sure to link to her video below in the description. But for now, let's get on with today's video, 9 ways to use these sprays. Does that rhyme? I think so. I love me some Distress Oxide, so of course I got the sprays. I'm going to be using these colors in the video today and showing you 9 different ways to use them. So as you can see in this bottle, all of the pigment is sitting at the bottom of the bottle, and then the dye is on top of the pigment. So you kind of have to give these, not kinda, you do, have to give these a shake to get all that ink mixed together before you use them. You can use oxides on any kind of cardstock that you have, watercolored, regular, dark, light, whatever floats your boat. Anytime I use any kind of sprays, I work in a shoebox. I line the bottom with either aluminum foil. At this point, I was too lazy to go to my kitchen, so I had some paper towels, so I'm lining it with that, and it just keeps all the mess contained. So it is recommended that you just kind of shake it, little jiggy back and forth like this, right, with the lid on, because if you vigorously shake it, the ink is going to come out the top of the spray bottle. But I don't want to sit there and be gentle with my shaking, so I just grab a paper towel, take off the little plastic top, and then I shake the bejeebies out of it. There's a ball in there and you'll actually hear it shaking. And then when I'm done, it's all shook up and I just lost that little bit of paint. But make sure you cover the nozzle at the spray bottle, because it will spray out everywhere if you choose to shake it that way, or you can just do the nice little jiggle and shake it up that way, whatever floats your boat. So I'm going to show you white cardstock and gray cardstock to show you how the colors look on both colors of cardstock. So it always dries just like this really pretty chalky-like finish. And you can layer colors of oxides together. Even colors that would typically turn to mud will not turn to mud here, as long as you make sure that your ink is dry before layering on a new color. As always, I am linking the supplies for you in the description below in the visual supply list. All right, so we did some old-fashioned spraying. Now let's do some mix-it-up spraying, and I'm going to create a rainbow background. Wait till you see how easy this goes. Again, I'm giving the bottles that I haven't shaken a good shake before I use them, keeping that paper towel on the nozzle so I don't get paint everywhere. And I'm going to create this rainbow background. Again, the exact colors I'm using, I've got listed for you in the supply list. But look how easy it was to create this rainbow with these sprays. It took like 20 seconds. So once it's dry, I just stamped a layering tree with a nice sentiment. Both of those products are from Alta New and linked in the visual supply list for you. And that finished off this card. Now, I could have mass-produced the bejeebies out of these backgrounds, cut them all down, and I would have had panels to use for quite some time. And you can't go wrong with a rainbow background. I'm sorry, you just can't. All right, let me show you how you can get some easy full coverage using this. First, I'm going in with Cracked Pistachio Oxide Ink Pad and doing some traditional ink blending. You can see that takes some time to blend that on there. Then I'm taking the ink pad direct to the paper. And then I'm going to pick up the ink. I'm just using my jelly plate, but you could have used an acrylic block or anything slippery. And I picked it up with my foam dauber and was able to just swipe that color on there with no time at all. And I got really good results. Very nice, very even. So custom colored cardstock, anyone? All right, next up is stenciling. I'm just going to lay a stencil. I cut this with my Cricut. And laid that over some dark cardstock, and I'm spraying on some Wilted Violet Distress Oxide right over that stencil. And then I'm left with this beautiful background. It's just stunning. When it dries, it's going to lighten a little bit. But before I'm done, I'm going to take the stencil side with the ink on it and press it down onto a piece of dark cardstock and get a ghost stencil print. So ghost stenciling is another thing you can do with the oxides. So to the left, very vibrant, very beautiful. To the right, very subtle and ghost-like. Both are just beautiful. And to finish off this card, I dipped into my magic mug and found these things. I did spray the oval border and the sentiment with some Distress Oxides to be sure it coordinated all well together, and that's that. All right, so salt. Everybody's got salt. Even people that don't cook have salt, like myself. I don't like to cook, but I do have salt. So I'm taking some cardstock. I am heavily spraying it with some oxides. It's a big puddle, and I'm going to take some kosher salt. It's got big granules, and I'm just going to dump it on there. Then I'm just going to pick up the whole paper towel because I don't want salt everywhere and just set it off to the side to dry. I'm going to do the same thing, lay down the same 3 colors, Spice marmalade, squeezed lemonade, and picked raspberry, I believe. And this is some pink Himalayan salt, or just your regular table salt. It's smaller grains. And then I'll let it all dry, and then it's time to get the salt off. So at first I started to brush it off, but I needed to be a little bit more heavy-handed. So I'm just going to pick up my microfiber cloth, could have used a paper towel, whatever. And I was trying to be delicate. I didn't know how delicate I needed to be. It turns out I didn't need to be. So I am very aggressively rubbing this paper towel. I didn't use microfiber cloth, I used paper towel, and I'm just rubbing that salt off. So the salt has left a nice texture, but it also kind of oxidized a pattern on there, if you will. It's like this circular pattern where I overlap the sprays. It's very unique. It's textured. It's very neat. Now, I did stamp on this card, but I used my Misty stamping tool. If you add salt to your background panels and you're going to stamp over it, be sure to use your Misty, because I did have to triple stamp that black solid background image there. That is a stamp set from Altenew, several times before I got a solid impression, because the salt provided such a textured background. But I love how this looks. So next up, let's do a little bit of flicking. Let's flick it on. So I'm just going to take the stirrer sticks. So this is for all of you that don't like to get your hands dirty especially, and I'm just flicking on some colors. And I chose a dark brown cardstock because a lot of these colors really pop off the dark background, which is another thing that makes the Oxide line so unique. It works great on dark colored cardstock, so it's a great way to dip into that stash of colors that you don't typically go for. But look at that. It's like a party on the paper, right? Like confetti, baby. So I just took a Hello die that was in one of my magic mugs. I sprayed it with some Distress Oxide ink, and this card is done. It's happy. It's like party. Let's party. As soon as we're allowed to leave our houses and congregate with each other, let's party. Did you know that you can heat emboss with these oxides too? So I'm doing the same thing, flicking it on with a stirrer stick. Whatever colors you're adding, just flick it on there, and then you can heat emboss all this. So I'm going to take my Wow clear embossing powder. I love it so much. I got the big, huge jar. Take a moment to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell to be notified of all of my upcoming videos. Did you do it? Thank you. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and dry these. I'm using my dual speed heat tool, also from Wow. But now those are heat embossed. It's completely protected, so any color I put down, it's not going to affect the color that I heat embossed, because all that color is trapped underneath. It also leaves a nice little glossy finish from that heat embossing as well. So I sprayed a couple of colors on there. I heat set it. You can see how it lightened up a little bit. I think that's so cool. And then I'm going to add a little bit of water flicks because of the Oxide line. You can add some water flicks and it's going to react. So I've got some water flicks on there. I'll just take a paper towel after it's sat for about 10 seconds or so. And then I'm left with those pretty water droplets as well. And the heat embossed areas are glossy, which is very hard to see, but it's there, I promise. And then I just finished off this card. I had this mandala die, and I just cut it down to fit to the card base. And look at this. Done and done, right? Bada bang, bada boom. All right, moving on. Distress Glaze. This was released a few years ago, but you can use this to work as a resist. So I'm taking this gorgeous stencil from Catherine Pooler. I've got a little foam dauber there. It doesn't work with blending brushes. You do need to use foam. And I'm just dabbing on the glaze through the stencil. I do keep lifting the stencil to make sure that the glaze is going through okay. I can see it's like a light little film there. It almost is like a consistency of Vaseline, if you will. It's got that greasy feel to it. I did let it dry. I put on quite a bit, so I think I walked away for about an hour. Now I'm going to just spray. It still felt greasy to the touch, but I just kept going with it. So I'm going to spray a couple of colors here right through. Going in with cracked pistachio, chipped sapphire, and I'm having to jiggy the bottle because I didn't have a paper towel handy to cover the cap, and apparently a little squirt of yellow to seal the deal. And then once that is dry, you can heat set it or not. I just was in a rush to finish this card, so I did use my heat tool. But you can or cannot, whatever floats your boat. And once that was good and dry, I made sure the inks, the oxides that I sprayed on there are dry. I'm going to take a cloth and kind of wipe away that Distress Glaze. It's still got that greasy feel to the touch, so I just took a cloth, buffed it away, and I'm good to go to finish out this card. However, I wanted to, and in this case, less is more, so I took a die cut out of my magic mug, and then I added a few Nouveau drops here and there to finish off this card. It didn't need much because the background is the showstopper right here. That's all you need. So let's take one close-up look again at all the backgrounds I made in this video. And while I'm doing that, I want to tell you about a collaboration I'm doing with my friend Jerry. She also has an entire video dedicated to Distress Oxide Sprays. So be sure to check out her video. I am linking it below in the description for you to see what she has up her sleeve. She is very creative. I've watched many of her videos and learned something from each and every one of them. So be sure to check that link and see what she's got for you. So these are all the backgrounds that I created in the video. Most I turned into cards. There were a couple that I just flat out ran out of time, but I've got these backgrounds set aside to use for later projects. So Distress Oxide Sprays. They are really cool. I enjoy working with them. I remember when they first came out, it was just 12 colors, and now I think they're up to 60, maybe 61 with the newest release of the colors, the color line that they released called Speckle Egg. They released it in the Distress Oxide and the ink and the paint and the embossing powder stuff and whatever else they've got in the Distress line. They released a new color. So I've got that coming actually today. Whoop, whoop, whoop. It's coming today, and I can't wait to get it just to see what that color is all about. I like robin's egg, so I'm probably going to like speckled egg too. So what did you think? Did you like the Oxide Sprays technique? Are the sprays your jam? Let me know in the comments. I also have a video, click right here below. This is an older video, but it shows a whole bunch of different ways that you can use the Distress Oxide ink pads. Right? I love the oxide. So check that video out for totally different ways to use the ink pads. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, click that notification bell. You know the drill, because I want you to be notified of the video I upload next week. See you then. Oh.